Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Hey everybody, it's Michael Colomb with Mimosas with Michael. Welcome back. Thank you everybody for joining in. And this week I have a really cool guy. His name is Eric Twiggs. How are you, boss?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on your show.
Dude, my pleasure. And you were referred to me by a previous guest I had, Brenden from Master Talk.
Yes.
And he's been really cool. He's been giving me some cool people. So any friend of Brenden is a friend of the show and a friend of mine. So tell me about yourself. I know that you are a life coach. You're a business coach as well. So Tell us who Eric Twiggs is and what he does.
So I am your procrastination prevention partner.
Okay, I already love that. I love that already.
So what I do is I help entrepreneurs and executive leaders to ditch their excuses, to beat procrastination so they can make more money, get more done, and feel more confident.
Oh, nice. Well, we definitely all need someone like that. How did you get started in something like this? Like you just one day were like, I want to help people follow their dreams, or is it like you fell into it? Like what were you doing before?
So here's the thing. Everything started back when I was in college. I'm in college. I talk about this in my book, The Discipline of Now. And I'm having this conversation with my good friend. His name is Donnell. Now, I have to confess, we were a little different back in those days. Like he was all about his purpose and I was all about the party. So he's always giving me a hard time. Eric, you need to get serious. You know, think about what you want to do with your life. And I'm like, man, we have plenty of time for all that serious stuff. Are you going to the party with me or not? And so several weeks go by. I didn't hear from him. And then I get a phone call from his mother telling me that he was killed in a car accident.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, it changed the way I thought about time. And it sent me a serious message to say that maybe I don't have the time that I think to do what I want to do and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, that's what started my thoughts and focus on time management. I mean, there were some other experiences throughout my career that got me to this point, but that's really the foundational moment. That's why you and I are talking right now.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I'm kind of the same way in my 20s. I just spent a lot of time going like partying and blah, 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 because, you know, you're young, you think you have all the time. And then when I had this full-time job, and at the age of 30, I was like, man, I haven't done anything with my life. What am I going to do? And 30 was when I was like, if it's not now, it's never going to be, you know? And I didn't want to keep looking back at my life and not doing it. So that's life speaking to you right there, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So, and I'm glad you answered the calling, man.
You know, it's funny you say life does that a lot, but sometimes we're not listening. So you have to go through the same experiences over and over again, right?
Yeah, life will make sure you listen. That's one thing I've learned. Right. It gives you little messages to see if you're paying attention, and then if you're not, it's like it just takes you and just smacks you across the face, and you just like, ow, right? And then you just got to be like, oh shit, it like wakes you up, you know? Right. So yeah. So put you on this path to like want to be much more about your purpose.
Right. So
that's awesome.
So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I just have to climb the corporate ladder. I need to make this money. I need to get to the top. And that was my focus. And I got to the point where you could argue that I had arrived, right? So I was a district manager in automotive. I had 17 locations. We were just setting records as far as sales and profits. I'm getting awards. I'm driving the BMW. Everything's going great. And I remember this moment, like I looked in the mirror and I'm driving my car. I'm looking in the rearview mirror. And I remember the eyes that were looking back at me were eyes of someone who literally hated what he was doing.
That was me at 30, bro. I'm all about that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, right.
That's such a powerful moment. Like, it's almost defining. It was for me anyways, where I was looking at myself going, I don't know who this guy is anymore and where he's going, what he's all about. So yeah.
Right.
Okay, see. And then what happened after that?
Yeah, so from then, I started, it really made me like look in the mirror. Like I had this embarrassing moment, right? So at the time, like all of my friends were going into pharmaceutical sales. Like that's the hot job. That was the hot job at the time. You got to do this. It's cushy, you make money. And I'm like, hey, look, I can sell. I can talk to people. And I remember I went to this recruiter, and he was like, who in their right mind would hire you for pharmaceuticals when you don't have that on your background? You've never done pharmaceuticals. Have you even been in a drugstore? You know, so
right.
So, and he's like, what is it that you really want to do, Eric? And I'm like, I want to make money. No, that's not what I asked you. What is it that you really want to do?
Yeah.
And it really was a moment. I'm like, I don't think I really know. And I had to kind of look back. I look back at my career and I had to think about, okay, at what points did I really feel like I was fulfilled? And it always went back to when I was speaking in front of a group. I spent some time as a corporate trainer, and I remember after my training sessions, I'd be like, man, you know what? I could just do this all day, every day. Huh.
Interesting.
Or I'd be at a church event doing a presentation, and I would just leave like, man, this really feels good. And so now you would think, I told you I'm your procrastination prevention partner. You would think I just jumped into action right away, right?
Right. No, not at all.
Not at all, right? So literally, I procrastinated for like 3 years. I'm like, who's going to bring me in? What can I say that hasn't already been said already? So all those things started going through my mind. And then finally, I ended up joining Toastmasters, right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Toastmasters International. And then I started doing speech contests. And then I met somebody who trained professional speakers. So there's the steps. So here's the takeaway. And like, this is what I always tell people, that you can't allow perfect to become the enemy of progress.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So because I needed to have everything perfect. I needed to have everything figured out. I needed to have all the details mapped out. And for a while, I just didn't do anything. Where sometimes you just have to take the next step. And then what's that?
No, it's that you can't be a procrastinator partner if you haven't experienced it and grew from that, So now you take this experience that you had and you help people. That's awesome. That is actually really cool.
Yeah, and that's it. And here we are.
And so how long have you been doing this now? You've been motivational speaking.
So 2011, that's when I really just started jumping out there.
So 9 years.
Yeah.
And do you find that even during the pandemic, you're still able to like speak to people? I know you can't go in front of a crowd, but are you able to talk to people like Zoom and Google Meets and stuff?
Yeah, it really forces you to pivot, and so we do a lot of stuff virtually. We have all kinds of virtual summits, and so the funny thing is, I have 2 other business partners, and we formed something called the What Now movement.
Oh, okay.
And it all started because of the pandemic, because the 3 of us in our respective walks of life, people kept coming up to us like, hey, you know what? I own this restaurant, and now, I can't have people sitting in my in the seats. I can't have them sitting in the lobby. I can't. What am I going to do? What now? Or hey, I just got laid off. What now? Yeah. And so we formed the What Now movement, and the whole purpose of this movement is to really help to build these entrepreneurs and career professionals so that they're able to pivot.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how the pandemic and everything has given us globally a chance to step back and be like, what wasn't working in my life? And what, it's crazy. Like you never even think about it because you're so busy just trying to survive. But here it's like the world just stopped. And you're like, well, I have all this time to figure things out. And like with me, right at the beginning of the year, I took up photography. So I was like, well, I guess I could take pictures. I don't have to be around anybody to do that. I go take pictures of birds. I can take pictures of people. And because I'm on a lens, I can have that distance. So I was practicing that. Just didn't know it would be something that I enjoyed. And I find that the people that I'm interviewing and talking to, they're like, yeah, like I wanted to start dieting and I wanted to work out and I wanted to go back to school. And it's like, well, and it's crazy how like people are just like, well, I guess now is the time to do it, and it's not like they're not finding excuses. They're like, I think as much as we're going through it now and it's difficult and it's frustrating, I think all of us are going to come out on the other end completely different and evolved in a good way.
Oh, I believe so. And just like a classic example. So I host this podcast, the 30-minute hour, and I have my co-host, and we were just doing. We would go to the studio, and we didn't do anything live, right?
Yeah.
We would record for YouTube, but most of our stuff was, we would record the audio for the apps. But then when the pandemic happened, we couldn't get in the building anymore. And so we said, you know what? We should do Zoom. Oh, we should probably do Zoom live over Facebook. And so now all of our episodes are live, and we've probably quadrupled our audience.
That's amazing.
Where if the pandemic hadn't happened, we would have just done what we had always done.
Well, probably because people now are, because I think they're just facing this sort of like inner struggle, and they're looking for like an escape. Because like what you guys are offering people is like a different way of looking at life that people never thought they had to, right? So they're probably like hungry for that, which is it's so great that you can provide that. It's like, look, this was something we couldn't control, and it's affecting literally every single person. It's not just like something that's happened to you, it's globally, right?
Right.
So I love that you guys are able to find a way to be like, look, now what? What now? It's like this happened. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to move on and find a way to adapt and grow. And it's one thing I've learned the older I get is you have to adapt to everything in your life. It's never going to go the way you want. It could turn out to be better, but if you're willing to adapt and I think learn from that, then it's a better experience.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and this the thing is, there's going to be something else, right? Right now we've got the pandemic. We're going to get through this. We'll get to the next normal. But at some point, I mean, there's going to be something else. And if you look, most of the successful Fortune 500 companies were started doing some type of a downturn, some type of disaster. If you read up on it, most of them started, it was either the Great Depression, it was either the crash of 2008, it was something that these companies they pivoted when everybody else was panicking.
That's true. I mean, I remember like the dot-com boom, like right when the internet came out, there was like all these people had these dot-coms, and that was like the new normal. Yeah. And it was just like exploded. And then it kind of finally, after I think 3 or 4 or 5 years, it kind of like leveled out because the internet became such a part of our life, Right. And we found ways, and we started getting emails, and then we had cell phones that came in, people like this newfangled thing, and now it's just a part of our life. Like we've learned to adapt. So there's always like a new normal, The pandemic just was one of those things that just stopped everything. And it was much more of an abrupt change, I think, than anything else we've ever experienced. So, but I'm glad to hear that you guys are safe and really finding a good way to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the name of is it podcast, the What Now movement, or what's the name of your podcast?
So the podcast is the 30-minute hour.
The 30-minute hour. I like that.
Yeah, that's the name of our podcast, yeah.
And it's on YouTube?
Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page. So we broadcast live through our Facebook pages every Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern.
7 o'clock Eastern? Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. I'm gonna have to check it out. And we'll definitely link it down in the show notes so people can check it out. Okay. And then you're online like on Instagram and stuff as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, everywhere.
You gotta be on that social media.
Oh, for sure.
That's the new normal right there. Nowadays people don't even text. I think most people message me through Instagram, which is so strange. Like people that I'm good friends with, they're just already on Instagram, so they just message me through Instagram. And I'm like, you have a cell phone. I'm telling you, but it is what it is. We adapt to it. So then what's next for you? Like, where do you see yourself going from this point forward through the pandemic?
Well, I mean, just continuing to just expand and just getting the message out there in different ways.
Okay.
And just the biggest thing for me is just evolution, just continuing to look at, how we're delivering things. And that's one of the good things with my business partner, with my co-host of the 30-minute hour. I mean, we're never satisfied. We're always looking at, well, how can we do this better? Well, what do we need to do to improve the show? Do we need to change up the questions? So just continuing to evolve. That's really what it's about. And just getting the message out to more and more people. I mean, that's really my main focus. Yeah,
I feel like I'm like that with every aspect of my life, with my photography, with my filmmaking, with my writing, even with the podcast. It's like, okay, I did one episode and I did it just like that. So the next time I do it, I got to change it and adapt it and grow. And I kind of adapt with my guests. I kind of adapt with the audience, I think. So that's kind of fun. So that's cool. And so you guys have been doing this podcast for a while now. That's awesome, man. It just
Yeah.
sounds so exciting. I can't wait to start watching it. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
So
it's like I've fallen. Sorry to cut you off, but I've kind of fallen into a strange little funk. I think because of the pandemic and a lot. And so knowing that stuff like that is out there makes me happy because even motivated people need motivation.
oh,
You know,
absolutely,
so
absolutely, yeah.
so
So
how do you
yeah, I
find
mean,
motivation?
just I listen to videos and I mean listen to audios. I'm constantly reading. And so one of the things I think you really have to be intentional when it comes to motivation.
Yeah.
And I practice what I preach. So I teach people to start a win log, right? Where they're tracking the good things that are happening to them. So progress
Okay.
they're making. Hey, you know what? I finally launched a podcast. Or hey, you know what? I got this big sale today. And so when things go wrong, you don't just go into a complete funk because now you've got this perspective that hey, it's not all bad. I am making progress in other areas of my life, and it helps you to really have that perspective. So that's probably the main thing I do to help me to stay motivated is to really focus right there. And then I try to learn from, because again, I'm all about evolving. So I'll note, the things that went wrong, but okay, what did I learn from that?
So do you just keep it like on a little pad or something, or is it like on notes in your iPhone? How would you keep your win log? Like, what would you suggest?
Well, I use Evernote.
Oh yeah, Evernote's great. Okay.
That yeah, so that way, I can even print it out and have it and that type of thing. But yeah, so I use Evernote. Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of. I might start doing that. The one thing I've done, and I love that I think writing it down or typing it up makes it very tangible because it's something you can look at.
Yep.
But I never did that specifically. What I always do is I celebrate every win. So I always go out and I'll find a way. I'll go take myself to a nicer dinner. Or I'll go have, like I'll call up a friend and be like, let's just go have a glass of wine. And like, I want to celebrate this small victory. So I always challenge people to celebrate the small victories.
Yeah.
But I think exactly because you have to because
yeah.
It's like we always have like this end goal in mind, but it's not always the end goal. It's about the journey that gets you there. Those small successes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea. I don't know why I never thought about this because I'm a writer, but I think writing it down and having a log and looking at it. I think
Absolutely.
I'm going to start doing that.
So here's the funny thing, right?
Right.
This came out because if I'm working with somebody, if I were to say, hey, okay, Michael, tell me everything that went wrong today. Oh my gosh, yeah, you won't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. They were just going on and on. But then if I said, hey, so tell me about your wins. Huh? What?
Yeah. I don't know if we're programmed that way.
Yeah, it's like awkward silence. Yeah, and now I have people that like first I would start asking about the wins. They would have nothing to say or maybe one thing. And now if I don't ask them that, they're going to interrupt me. Like, hold up, Eric. I've been waiting to talk to you about this. I've got like all these wins to share, So
that's awesome.
That's a good way to really stay motivated. And
you just do it by date. You're like today's date. These are my wins.
Yep.
And what would you consider a win? Like, is it like name something small that would be a win? Do you think? Is it like I got to work without traffic kind of thing, or?
Well, for me, let's say someone gives me a positive testimonial about the podcast, and especially if it's somebody that if I didn't ask them to give me a testimonial and they just took the time and said, "Hey, this is a great show," blah 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 blah, I would count that as a win. Yeah.
I'm just always intrigued because I know sometimes they tell you to keep like a grateful journal in a way,
gratitude journal.
And
yes.
a gratitude journal, and I feel like it's sort of like this, but maybe on steroids because it's like you really want to hone in on the things that are positive. And I think the Western culture for some reason isn't focused or isn't. We don't have that train of thought. Like my and this is hard for me. My first reaction is I wake up every day going, oh my God, it's so early. I have to go to work. Oh, it's all the things that, and I will tell you this, and then I promise I'll let you talk. But I remember when I first worked in an office in my early 20s, and I felt like the moment I went in and poured my coffee for the morning, someone was already like, oh my God, I just wish the day was over. And I was like, what do you mean? I mean, it just began, right? And then by Wednesday afternoon, they're like, oh, I wish it was Friday. And I was like, I mean, you still have like 2.5 days. And I started noticing that was where the mindset was. It's always like, yeah. And so I'm like, that's why I started celebrating my successes. And it was like, okay, well, I woke up Monday and I feel great, and today's a good day, and the weather's really nice, and I get to see my friend, or I get to, blah, 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 see my family. So that's how I was trying to look at it. Now I'm human and I sometimes falter off that path. But I like this idea of that because, it's like you have to really think about, what are my wins today? Do I have any wins? So I mean, that's why I asked if it could be something small, like today I was able to get to work without traffic. Or
Yeah, I mean, so for example, if it's been traffic every day, and this one day, you got there with no traffic at all,
you hit like every green light, yeah.
Positive. Sure. So
Okay.
like, there's a book. This guy, his name is Dr. Shad Hemstetter, and the book is called "What You Say When You Talk to Yourself." Right.
Oh yeah.
And
I have the worst conversation.
He says that 80, if your self-talk, 80%, most people, 80% of their self-talk is negative. If you just listen to the thoughts, oh my goodness, I can't believe this guy. Oh man, we're in the grocery store. It says 10 items. He's got a whole basket full of stuff. Oh my gosh, what's he thinking? We just negative, 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 negative. So we're just in this negativity habit. So the best way to break a bad habit is to replace it with a better one.
That's good to know. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely fall into that trap. I try not to. I really have the intent of being positive. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just like I said. We're surrounded by that all the time.
Yeah.
And you look at it as, and not so much just even our political climate, but it's like just, you watch TV and like you watch a reality show, and the best part of it is like all the drama. So it's like people like thrive on that. So if you've watched a show where everybody was getting along, and it was all hunky dory, the show would be on for four episodes and be done. It'd be boring.
You're right, because I would not watch a reality show if everything's fine. We don't argue. There's no drama. There's no conflict.
Yeah.
The producers know that.
I know, but I just think we're so bombarded with that over and over and over, and it's like nowhere in there do they talk about like the resolve or the people trying to solve the problem. It's always got to be another problem to up it.
Right.
And I get that that's television, but after you see that stuff on the news, and you deal with that in your daily life, and then you see it on TV, and it's just like, it's like so overwhelming. People are just like, I can see why it's easy to fall into the habit of being so negative.
Oh, for sure. And that's why you really have to monitor your diet. Your diet isn't just what you're eating; it's the information you're taking in.
Your mental diet.
Yeah, if you're just watching the news, or if you're just around negative people all the time, those people that always tell you why they're projecting their fears on you. Yeah. They're always telling you why you can't do something, why this is impossible, and so yeah, you just really have to be aware of your intake, your diet.
Yeah. I like that. I do try to watch what I eat for health reasons and weight and stuff, but yeah, a mental diet is actually kind of a really great way. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start the hashtag mental diet because I think that's really awesome. Good advice.
And again, that's why I'm listening to audiobooks and things like that all the time, because I just want to offset that because if I'm not, let's say if I'm driving around and I'm not listening to an audiobook, and I start listening to the news or listening to even if you start listening to the radio, sometimes they're sneaking in negativity on you. So
yeah, I know. Recently, I don't really watch a lot of TV during the day, so I kind of catch it up at night, and I find myself watching the news right before bed just because I'm trying to get caught up for the day. And it's sometimes when I'm doing other things, and yeah, sometimes I'm just like, I gotta turn this shit off. It's like so overwhelming. Like it's just, my mind is like, okay, I get it. It's a lot of negativity before bed, but then I find that I sit with those thoughts. So that's something I've had to start doing as well. Is I'll catch up for like an hour or two, just so I'm aware. I want to be culturally relevant and understand what's going on in the world, but then I have to be like, I got to listen to music, or I got to fill my head with something else, So I like, that's a good way to think about it.
Absolutely.
So then besides the win log, how do you motivate people from being pessimistic, or not pessimistic, procrastinating?
Well, we try to get into, are there patterns, right? So it helps the theme of my book is really about awareness. And do you find that there's specific things that you're always procrastinating? If you're procrastinating, is it like a certain type of thing? Is it tasks that so like some people, it's just things they don't really want to do. It's not deep. It's not that complicated. They just don't like doing the task, so they just put it off.
Yeah. It's amazing how simple and basic it is.
Yeah, sometimes it's real basic. And I tell people, like, I wish someone would have told me this like years ago, that, just because something has to be done, it doesn't mean that you have to do it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
There's ways is it possible that you can outsource it?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you need to hire a personal assistant? So just really thinking about that, or it could be like, here's what I see too. Some people have a pattern whenever it's something that's like aspirational. It's like a big goal they have. They find themselves procrastinating because they're deep down, they're afraid. Well, what if?
Oh, I think fear is a big factor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably like a leading cause.
For me, and I don't know if this is something you find often, but it's if I have a big aspiration, yes, it's sometimes fear, but I also find that my mind can see the big picture, but doesn't always know the small steps to get there. So it seems overwhelming. And so I can see the big picture, but I can't see like the steps. And so I just sit there feeling so flummoxed and frustrated. And really sometimes a friend can just be like, oh, so that's your goal? Like, have you ever thought about just like doing this and that one simple step? And I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you. Like do you find that a lot? And I'm wondering, is that a fear thing? Where do you think what that comes from?
Well, some of it's perfectionism. Sometimes it's, it looks like it's so overwhelming, you don't really know where to start. So it's like, it seems like the easiest thing to do is nothing.
Yeah,
right?
Yep. Because then you're not disappointed.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing. And that's what I tell people. I go, when I first started my entrepreneurship of like starting, because I work in film, I'm a writer and all these things. People are always like, oh, I'm so afraid to start because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And I go, well, you'll probably fail the first time because you don't know what you're doing. But that's the best thing about starting is once you fail, okay, that's the wrong way to do it. So now you can do it this way. And I go, people are so afraid of that fear. But the thing is like 9 times out of 10, you're probably, and I use fail not in a negative term. It's more like it's probably not going to work out the way you want it the first time. Right. But don't be afraid to take that step. It's like you take a step, it's like if you're on a map and sometimes you take a left turn and you're like, damn, I was supposed to go right. Okay. So you have to go around the block and then you go right again. It's kind of like that. And I go, you don't be afraid to fail. It's probably not going to work out the way you want to the first time, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take that first step.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Because you won't know what's the right way to do it until you know the wrong way to do it. It's kind of like people are so afraid to ask somebody out because they're afraid they're going to get, rejected and it may not work. Yeah, but like that's why you keep dating because now with that relationship the things you needed to learn that you can put towards another one, and that's that's kind of like the journey of life, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to factor failure into your success plan.
Without a doubt.
You have to. So I talk to people all the time that let's say they say they're going to work out. Yeah, I'm going to work out 3 times a week, and let's say they miss a day or they miss 2 days. They get frustrated and give up because they feel like they're a failure. And you have to understand that that's part of the process. So maybe you need to put different disciplines in place and just go back at it.
Yeah. Besides, you have 7 days. If you're only going to work out 3 and you miss a couple, you still have other days. Yeah, it's just like a mindset thing then.
Yep.
So you have a book. What is the name of your book?
So the book is The Discipline of Now: 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination.
And where can we find it?
You can find it. You can go to my site, thedisciplineofnow.com. You can you can get it on Amazon as well. Those are the 2 main places.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it on the show. That sounds great. That sounds like something everybody needs right now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, it's going to sound weird, but the show is basically, it's only 30 minutes and we're basically done. It goes so fast. But I mean, I feel like we've only broken the surface of the things that people need to hear.
Right.
Which is great. So from here, everybody should go to your podcast and start listening and get the rest of these nuggets that we've given them so they can expand on them.
Oh,
and then they should check out your book.
Yes.
But I think what you're onto something great. And you even taught me in these 30 minutes, you've given me more than I was expecting because like there's like, my mind's racing going, wow, I never thought about that. Like these are such great, I'm telling you a win log. I'm all about it right now. I'm literally going to get off this podcast and start a win log because just in this last week, the week before last, I was like in a fog. I'm like, oh, things are bad. This week, I feel like every day I've had a win.
There you go.
So I'm like, oh, I got to log that stuff. I do keep a journal I do keep a journal, and because it's digital, every day it reminds me. I have like 30 days ago you had that win. Like it always, like it has like a sort of like flashback thing, which I like. So sometimes I do get to remind myself of those things. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. But I think having a log that just takes away, it's only just the good things is an awesome idea.
And then what happens, you start to build momentum, and you start to, and like I said at the top, I help you, they end up feeling more confident because, you're starting to build on the wins.
Well, I'm not going to lie, for basically the last quarter of 2020, I want to build momentum.
Absolutely.
So, well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, I'm telling you, just the 30 minutes you gave me, I'm telling you, I think the audience is going to be motivated even more than they were before. And I definitely think you're going to get more followers because you're onto something amazing. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do. You encourage and inspire people through this medium as well. I mean, people are people are looking for that. And when they watch you, they get that little piece of motivation to keep them going.
It's so weird. When it comes to like my art and stuff, people are always like, "God, you motivate me so much," because I'm always working. Even on the bad days, I still got to try to push through, And on the bad days, it's like, oh yes, I know I probably won't accomplish as much, but I definitely got to accomplish like one thing. Like even on the bad days, I still can't stay in bed all day, right? And so I remember when I was probably in my early 20s, right when I had a job, I always had this thing at the end of every email. It had my name, right, and like the contact information for work, but at the bottom of it says, "I live to be an inspiration." And people would always ask me about that. And they're like, "What's that mean?" I go, "Well, I try to be an inspiration because if I'm inspiring others, then I am inspired by them." Right. And I feel like it was a sort of synergy that we created. So like just from the conversation we had right now, like I feel, and I'm already motivated. I feel like doubly motivated. But you've given me so many things I never even thought about. I'm back to the win log, back to like just the frame of reference that I have when I look at things. That's huge for me. So mind blown. I'm telling you. Thank you.
Oh man, that's awesome. See, that's a win for me.
I'm telling you, no, because I felt the same way when I was with Brenden. Brenden, it's just one of those people that motivated me, just because he's so young and the way that he changes things. And after the show was done, we talked, I think, for another 20 or 30 minutes. I was just like, damn, this kid's great, So I'm always motivated by every guest that I have because they're doing, and I think that's Leslie's the same way. I think that's why she was so excited to talk with you. Yeah. And I just feed off of other people's energy, and your energy is so great because you are such a, I can find ways to procrastinate. I'm not gonna lie, especially on the dumb, mundane things. Right. Like I'm like, I have to do that, and it's on my to-do list, and I just like every day I just move it to the next day. Just something dumb like I have to go get my oil, not my oil change. I have to go get my oil change. And we're not driving a lot right now, so I'm like, do I really need to go get my oil change? Yes, I should probably do it, but it's like, it just seems like a dumb, mundane task that I'm just gonna push till tomorrow. Right. So but now I'm gonna go get my damn oil change because I feel motivated. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it. Again, you can check out your book and give us the name of your book and your podcast one more time.
The book is The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. It's available on audio, paperback, and as the ebook. And then the podcast is The 30-Minute Hour.
I love it.
You can go to the Facebook page. It's titled The 30-Minute Hour, Mondays at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, live.
That's be 3 o'clock our time. Yeah. You guys, please, 4 o'clock. Yes, math is probably not one of my fortes. When I'm doing things on the fly, I screw up. So anyways, thank you so much for being on the show, everybody. Again, this is Eric Twiggs, and this is Michael Colon with Mimosas with Michael. You could check us out on Spotify, iTunes. We're on iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can find a podcast. We're also on YouTube and Instagram Live. Instagram TV. So please check us out. And again, Eric, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Take care.